So in this video, we're going to talk about protocols, and guess what? I love protocols just a little bit more than I love trains because they make everything run so smoothly. I'll talk to you about the three parts of making a protocol, and that's trigger, process, and output. So let's jump over to SystmOne and I will show you how and what I'm on about. So with this, what we're looking at is setup, workflow support, and protocols, and I've already jumped across to the screen from there, okay? Now, going to go new protocol, and we're just going to get through this first page. All you can do is you can add your name, like where you want to store it, etc., all the usual stuff, and you'll see that screen time and time again. Now, the first point we're going to talk about is the trigger. Now, you can automatically have it so that someone has to remember to launch a protocol, and that is fine to a degree. But the whole purpose of this is that we're trying to make the system better, so you need to think about automating it and wanting to have this automatically happen. And there are certain ones that I would make sure that you have a look at and that you're aware of, so that you can get these and just get your idea buzzing, because there are loads of options. Okay, so ones that I use all the time is when you say you've got a code that's added. So you can use that in combination with, say, templates where you hide certain elements, and I can show you in a separate video how to do that, so that when that code is added, say fast track referral, you've done a 2-week wait letter and it spits it out, and I'll show you what that looks like at the other end. Okay, so you've got, say, free text entered. Now I use this for advice and guidance protocol, so that you get all that advice and guidance documented quite nicely, keeps the practice manager happy, keeps me as a partner happy, because we can effectively audit and make sure that is all regulated and doing it from that way. Okay, so going around here, think about any prescribing updates. So if we've got a couple that run in the background, that if, say, like you're prescribing dapagliflozin, that you've documented that you have got read-coded documentation on, are you consulting on, having Fournier's gangrene and non-diabetic ketoacidosis, with specific read codes that have come from the ICB saying we want you to use these. You'll have certain certain medication warnings and reviews that your ICBs want you to make sure you're documented. So sort of bear that in mind. This is how you can do it. Okay. Oh, pathology, radiology, auto-filing. Mwah, love you, auto-filing. So with regards to that, that's as it comes in, so you can use that to trigger it. I've got one that works for prediabetes, so if they're in that pre-diabetic category and they're not diabetic, then you can work it out from that way, okay? So you've got certain bits there. So that's the key one. The only other one that I would strongly recommend is that you go on triggering on staff members, and make sure I ignore on specific staff, because I think that's quite dangerous, because staff move on. The one that I would, though, is either, depending on how you're set up, is to restrict it down to either roles or to teams, okay? So that with the teams, you can say, like, right, I only want all the doctors to be able to do sort of this one, I only want the secretarial team, etc. Or you've got similar options with say the roles, where you've like, right, if you're got a clinical practitioner access role, etc, that they will sort of deal with this and manage it from that way. So those triggers and filters combined are really key to make sure you've got the protocol going to the right patients and only triggering for the right personnel and the right people in your staff. And so you can start to see the flexibility that, yes, I'm a clinician, so I will often think about clinician protocols, but actually you could do this for the whole team, and make sure you have a chat about, if you know how to do this, about is there other ways that you can make this easy. Using the trigger in combination with filters, and I bunched that all under triggers, because then you need to think about to whom, okay? So you can, the ones that I use all the time is this. I'm not going to do a separate video on searches, but you can allow then these protocols to set on certain searches. I use these to then do it as a safety feature. So I will often say, like, right, I want this protocol not to occur on this group, or maybe to, say, pop up on this group, etc. So really useful. Going back to our pre-diabetes example, I've got a search set up so that someone's not diabetic, they're not on anti-diabetic medications, they're not, say, pregnant with diabetes. That's sort of all of the other necessary read codes, so that it's like the inverse is true, so that hopefully we're getting a true representation of what is going on there. So that's trigger covered, okay? Now, what we're looking at is design. And the next bit is about the process. Now, I often, when I think about process, what I want you to think about is, do you need to clarify anything else happening? Okay, do you need to add certain questions? Do you need to sort of like add extra steps to this depending on the patients? And the obvious answer is that you will need to, but how do you do that? The easiest way, because you've got this long list of options and that can be quite scary and quite intimidating, it's really not, because we're going to talk about the ones I actually use. So we're going to chuck in a question. Okay, the first question that I will often ask is, do you want to launch this protocol? And what that does is that it will get a box and it will sort of it will give you a yes no option. Okay, so you'll see at the other one it says stop and end. So for example, and it will say proceed or not proceed, so you say proceed. So it will go and you just join the dots. So it will go start once the protocol's set up. Do you want this protocol to launch? If they hit no thank you, it's an error, etc, etc. You're just starting out, hit no. That happens a lot, and I do apologise to any of my staff who have, put up with me setting up new protocols, is because this way it gives you a quick out or a quick exit, and you can do it either way that you want to do. Okay, so let's say, for example, let's talk through some ones that I commonly use. Okay, so having a look through, the one that I absolutely love is the quick action, and you can say search for a specific template that you want. So I've got a template called EMP Diabetes, which codes all of your bits and pieces in terms of referral to NDPP, but again, and it gives you this option. Okay, now pause protocol, allow protocol to continue. Okay, so the issue with this is if you allow protocol to continue, if you've got multiple steps that you want lined up, it'll just jump, and what will happen is your screen will go and pop up, pause the protocol. Okay, so what will happen is you pause the protocol, you'll go onto, that say template, and then I'll give you the option to do next. So it's going to go onto this template first, and guess what? I might want to send the patient a letter. So what you can do from this one is again, go back on the action, and then hey, word, and it says here specific template and details. So you can fill out the full details of this. I'm not going to do, or I'll be nice. Let's have a look. Search to be diabetes. Oh, I know which one I've got. So I've got a pre-diabetes information letter. Here we are, EMP Diabetes, showing me that I've got this. And I've got a couple of options here. So pause protocol, so that will do the word letter template. Okay, so we go next. So we've set up that, and we're going like, right, okay, they're pre-diabetic. We go on to that one, and then we're like, well, hang on a second. I want to add a task. Now I've got a task template, which I've talked to you about before on previous videos, and you can again apply task template, and it pulls up all of your ones, and it will be letter to patient. There we go. And again, pause protocol. And then once we've done this, okay, so it will tie it back there. I apologize, it doesn't look too neat. If you are of that way inclined, zero judgment, you can do it that way, and it looks neater from that point. So what this done was do, using just one button, okay, in terms of that quick action, you've gone from getting a template, getting a specific Word document opened up, creating then a new task, all through that one button. You can do so much more with that button as well as that specific action. You can prescribe off it and prescribe specific medications, which is just marvelous. I mean, for me, one that I want to do in future, and let me know if you want to see it, is a vitamin D one, where you get low vitamin D, it will automatically prescribe your vitamin D, your Hux D3, and then send out a message to them as well. Okay, happy days. So other things that are really useful to know about, and the comms annex, again, that links in that you can set specific tasks and what you want to do. And what you can do is if you type in the comms annex, I think it was on here, presets, it'll give you a list of your presets that you've got there available. Okay. Other ones that I use is that I'll often add note. Okay, and what this does is that it will allow more information to be put on. So for example, if you're doing we often find with PAT forms, getting the information to the secretaries is really tricky. So actually having this note on there is really useful. Likewise, another one that I use is add code, and that will just give you your read code box and you can add in whatever codes that you need to do. So that is your outputs. Okay, so again, it just gives you a flavor of what you can do, which is, guess what, it's a heck of a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to cancel that. I'm going to talk you through first the pre-diabetes ones. Okay, we're going to amend the protocol. Ooh, looks like crazy. So initial pre-diabetes ARDEN, so this automatically pulls up the ARDEN's template. Trigger, patient report received. So when the patient's notes is opened, I've filtered it down to those who are on pre-diabetic bloods and not coded. Okay, so if they're within that range and they haven't got anything else from that way, if you look on codes, have I restricted it? No, it's to everyone. Whoops, I might adjust that. But generally it's only people looking at the bloods who are going to sort of pick this up, and actually it's quite, I've been told off otherwise. So we talked about the filters, so the design. Let's talk about this. And again, you might want to adjust this, and please do, okay? So first one, start. Question, from the blood results, the patient might be pre-diabetic. Do you want to launch the pre-diabetes pathway? Yes, no, okay? So no, go away. Fine, add code. Adds code to, so this one, adds the pre-diabetes code. You might want to go with the normal glycemic one, which is absolutely your choice, or the non-diabetic, hyperglycemia. Blech. Do you want to launch the pre-diabetes template, the ARDEN's one? Yes, I do. Goes on to that one, and then I will flick through on this one. Do you want to send a letter to the patient? Now, one bit that I've only just recently found, so this is trying to boost our NDPP referrals, is that I've got 2 letters, okay? Under 80, we pretty much like, please go, you are eligible. So, but then the over 80s are like, need a doctor review or need a clinical review. So what we've done is you got none, and you go, yes, would you like to do a letter? And you go, and it then splits. So you've got age right at the top there, and it splits it automatically depending on what age they are, okay? And you've got the normal pre-diabetes, and then you've got the over 80s one, okay? Happy days. Both of them will add the code, or the one that says pre-diabetes will add the code to Diabetes Prevention Program invitation, because it does invite them to go onto it, whereas I haven't got it added on there. And this one, regardless of it, will say, please create a task to send to the secretaries, and that's part of the task template. Okay, do you want to add an annual recall? Yes, I do. New annual recall, please. And then that's it. Nice and simple. Really, really good one. Okay, so let's go through another one. So we were missing the cancer referrals. We had a changeover of staff also, so the auditing wasn't being done as well. So we were getting this horrible combination of busy clinicians forgetting to task the secretaries, and secretaries due to changing over, not auditing effectively. Recipe for disaster. No one's fault. Blame the system, not the individual, and that's why this is created from that way. So we've got this one. Let's go back to details. Okay, so we've got 2-week weight capture trigger. We've done it on roles, and I've also added it to our digital transformation lead, so he can have a play and a fiddle. And once it's added, the fast track cancer referral is added on there. So this is triggered for, we've got a template that our Federation has made that basically talks through, and it's got all of the referrals on there. This one included, so all the 2-week weights are there. No filters added, because as long as you trigger it off. So it's very, very simple to a degree. It could be better, okay, and it will be better. So Daniel, as you saw his name, he's upgrading this. He's got a far better one that I'm very kind that he's doing this. So, would you like to send it? So start off with here is, would you like to send an urgent task to the secretaries? Yes, I would. Is this a 2-week wait, lower GI, upper GI requiring a fit? Thank you to all the pedants who have already realised that fit test is incorrect, because the T in fit is already for test. So I've said, please organise a test. Anyway, and what this does is, so if you've got a non-fit required investigation, you can go down to the 2-week wait referral template, and that will just send it off to it. What we were finding this is, we were getting a lot of referrals through and they required a fit, and our secondary care colleagues got a bit snotty with us. So what we've done is we've added a question here where it says, please state the reason why fit was not needed. And you've got anal ulcer, rectal mass, tumour of the ankle canal, none of these apply. Again, with specific read codes to add that related read code. So we've got anal ulcer, rectal mass, tumour of the anal canal, and basically that was agreed from the ICB that they wanted that in there so that if you were sending it through, that it had to have that specifically coded, otherwise they're going to get really snotty about it, which is fair enough, okay? Now, what we did was, if that was none of these apply, then there was a snotty comment saying like, it's not being actioned, do it again, and then finished off. Simple as, okay? Advice and guidance, I've got 3 versions, and I'll tell you why, and I'll talk through this because it's such an important, so we're going to amend this protocol, okay? We're going to go back to details, add and read code, trigger. So free text added, advice and guidance, A and G. So if it adds that to all of these, including Hannah, because she didn't pick up on the initial bit, I need to tweak that, okay? Then all it does is it asks the question, are you adding advice and guidance? This will add the read code, add the read code, end. Now, really simple, okay? That's like happy days. But what I realized is that not everyone was spelling it correctly, or everyone was doing their own different thing, because aren't doctors wonderful for doing that? So if you trigger, I've got a trigger with A and G, so free text entered, A and G, no filters. So basically, and what you can do is that you can trigger a protocol from another protocol. So all I've done is I went through chatting around like, how are you all writing advice and guidance? Some were writing advice and guidance, some were writing A and G with that ampersand. And so just created several of those. So all this does is relaunch the other template, okay? And then all I've done it as well, I've just done it with another amend protocol, and you can see the trigger is advice and guidance. So that just, you know, there are so many permutations and computations from it. So yes, I hope that helps. Okay, so what we've done is we've broken down protocols into 3 easy areas of trigger, process, and output. Thank you everyone who commented on the last video. It was really helpful. If there's anything in that video that you're like, yes, I want more detail, please comment below. I'll see what I can do in terms of recordings. If you need help, I do offer power hour sessions where you can basically book me in. I'll more than happily talk through with your practice about how to get the best out of this if you feel that I can help you. Phew, thank you again for watching. Happy protocol making, and very best of luck to you.